Dayan gade para som gade bode so. Dayan gade para som gade bode so. Dayan gade para som gade bode so.我老说什么叫他们这个都他们家那么去我上街有恐怕人不去今年叫土巴差。第一学的没讲究什么，那边的出去的让我来辛苦的退过来退去修嘛，那我去过去。
We begin by setting our motivation, a motivation to do whatever we possibly can to attain the peerless state of enlightenment in order to benefit all beings. And knowing that to attain such a state, we need to perfect all the trainings on the Bodhisattva path. And to perfect those trainings, we need to have an understanding of them. And to gain that understanding, we need to be able to rely upon an unmistaken source of those instructions. And indeed, we are fortunate today to be able to listen to just such a source in the form of the great King of Mind Training texts, the Bodhisattva's Way of Life, as composed by the great Master Shantideva.
뭐라는 게 진짜 자외 라마에 나바 탑지라 투지 전부터 또 마셔져 두고 세다. 어느 랑게 타고도야 랑라 티저 마게 심저 탄저 마상 오면 보여서 공부차.
And as we normally do also, we set up the merit field in the space in front, which it consists of, in essence, our own guru, in the aspect of the Shakyamuni Buddha, who is one face and two hands. And we also have, we visualize all around us, all kinds of mother sentient beings of all the 6 realms of existence.
Lama tuba ongote, and sheji chani, yesane, yenyamjagata, tuzeko, tuzanaba, kula chubu, mumega doja so. But Musuma Kora, years of Kombacha, and Lama tuba ongote, Chivo Omkaba, Temba Armor, took our home with Yigasum set up. To go only with a part of Mabatuna, Shingram, Yeshiva, all other Chabachenta, Yeshiva, the Lama tuba of Naba Chelatim, only Ongo, Chulamacha, the Midu, would get the gache. What that then the Musuma Kora, years something what in the Kombacha.
So that the figure we are visualizing in the merit field, the Guru Shakyamuni Buddha has one face, 2 hands, is dressed in the saffron robes of a monk, is with the right hand in the earth touching the left hand in the meditative equipoise position, holding an armful filled with nectar. The crown is marked by the syllable Om, the throat by an A, and the heart by a Hung syllable. Light rays emanate from the Hung syllable, going out into the pure realms, inviting back the wisdom beings and the empowering deities. The wisdom beings dissolve into the central figure, and the empowering deities confer the nectar of empowerment, some of which overflows at the crown, spontaneously producing the figure of actual being.
Tendega lama tuya ombote, and Ngarazu Tondal Tuja, Ngarazu Tondala, Lamla, Ngarazu Tondal, Mobasa Santa, Takanja, Ngarazu, and the Donto Chatigate. What did it combat? And Tendege, and never combat the Ranchi Batamjala Tewa, Shajibala Tewa, Tola, Kula Tuja Chubo, Nirime Bachuba, Penta Mata, Tamjaga turns against it. What did the Tube Yunde, and go to Manasamato?
And of course, this figure that we are visualizing is really real there. And also to be aware that the enlightened being of Shakyamuni Buddha has, for our sake, developed the mind of enlightenment, for our sake, proceeded along the path, and for our sake, manifested full and complete enlightenment. Everything directed towards the benefit of all sentient beings. That the figure of an enlightened being has no fear of suffering in relation to themselves, is skilled in means in removing the fear of suffering of others, who works for others without any bias and with a mind of great compassion, and who benefits all, regardless of whether there is to be any benefit in return.
What the compassion and the negative, the Lama to your own body, and it's a cushion to go in that tenor. Also, and then the Lama to your own body, yes, that can cushion to get what are you in that direction, what that, and then the castle diet deva, Ichig deva, Munduga deva la sova. And Rasha Simja Tam, what are the getting it compassion?
And so that's recalling such qualities of the Buddha. Again, we are filled with this sense of faith. That this triple aspected faith, pure faith, manifest faith, and the faith of conviction, and that we see how ourselves and all other sentient beings all around us are filled with this sense of deep appreciation for the enlightened being.
Oh, and then Lama to be on the Kusuntugi and then Teshibangane, Dietava, Ichikatava, Mudugitava, Randa Ranga Tago de and then Magasam Tamja again, Koachi that Chadago to Yantola Dena, and the Casa Ninja. Ninja, and the Tunga Juda Tawat and the Chimor, Tawa Chuja, Tawa Short, Tawada Deva Juda and the Chimor, Tamba Juja, Tunga Juda and the Chimor, Tawa Juja, Tawa Short. And the water to make you that the Martina Mito target, the agenda of Lama to and the chinky love to so, the compassion, and then you are like nearly Chatan that was Majuna, Tamba inside, nearly Chatan to a Daniel and Najima, never shoot, never shot. Now target the agenda Lama to be on with chinky love to so, compassion.
And that ourselves and all the sentient beings then be filled with this pure faith, pure manifest, and the faith of conviction. We furthermore are able to regard all the sentient beings here with the mind of compassion, being fully cognizant of how much they are mired in suffering, how wonderful it would be if all sentient beings were free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May this be the case. I will see to it that it is the case. So Guru Deity, please bless me to be able to make this so. And how wonderful if all sentient beings had happiness and the cause of happiness. And may this be the case. I will see to it. Oh Guru Deity, please bless me to make it so. How wonderful if all sentient beings had the happiness that knows no suffering and the excellent bliss of liberation. And may this be the case. I will see to it that it is the case. Oh, Guru Deity, please bless me to make it so. But we also reflect, of course, that where we still have that discrimination for sentient beings, and then all of these beautiful and limitless thoughts are fruitless. And so we need to found our aspirations on a mind of equanimity. How wonderful if all sentient beings could abide in equanimity, free from attachment and anger, that hold some close and others distant. May this be the case. I will see to it that it is the case. So Guru Deity, please bless me to make it so.
What the nigga saw la tabala della Lama to be on the Kusantile, and it is a because Nanga Pato Meba Tuna, we say Kawasha was Tuna, Randa Ragat was Simjata Chiwana, Mashuala Dena, and Toma Meba Dibata Dibachida, Kabato, Semeshika, Toba Kabala, Patu Chujik, Dibati with Dibata Dibati, and Nani, Matu and Chetu, some such.
And as a result of these heartfelt supplications, then the descending nectar light begins from the heart center of the Guru Buddha in the space in front, with the white light predominant, effecting a purification as it goes in through the crowns of ourselves and all other sentient beings, removing all obstacles and obscurations in general, and in particular, obstacles to the development and cultivation of the four immeasurable thoughts.
What the lecture. Tari and Josa water wala dene, or Takanja, Tuzenanga Tuze, and a Sebu Shea as a Pabne, and the Ranga Tanga Simja Tamjala, Tuze de Timbala dene, and the Casore, on the Tende of Wachabacha, Rasha Simja Tamja, Jesu, Sazo Kobacha.
As a result of subsequent supplication, the descending nectar light begin again and descend into the crowns and bodies and minds of ourselves and all other sentient beings, and this time with the yellow golden light predominant, bestowing the blessing to be able to cultivate a realization of the four immeasurable thoughts.
semje tamja semje chiga doya tuk tuk mu do ta den de tuk tuk ko sa ane den de dobala semje ane ke kam ba bala nyawa chita wa shi de kene ane ta semje ko doya tuk ku yuwa sa lang do chi ma lo ba den de tuk ku yuwa sa ta den de yo wala ane sanje ko ba duna sa de lama tuya mo ko ma do ta me ba yin sa o ta lama tuya mo ko ma do ta me do en de tu ba chi yin sa do o da ma do na ta ba do tu ba chi yin ane di che do ta ka je 아니 디투발라 아니 자주가 셈다 돈이도베 셰라냐고 말한 타면도 근데 이번에서 다 자주가 셈데베 슝 개보다고 아니 전주고 슝데 아니 라네 퇴삼치기 예사서 어디 대체도 전주고 슝데 럽전치기 예사서 라마 투베 뭐 고민시병을 어디 고바시에체.
And so we realized that just thinking these thoughts in themselves aren't that effective, that we do realize that when we talk about generating these mindsets, we must generate the causes of them to bring them to fulfillment. And so ultimately, of course, we really want to attain enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings. But we're also aware that we can't do that for all sentient beings, and we struggle even to do that for one sentient being. And so we really have to kind of focus on what state will allow us to have such an in-depth understanding of the dispositions and personalities and karmic propensities of all sentient beings, and to understand that that state is enlightenment. And so that should really help us then to move away from our kind of mistaken interpretations of reality, to be able to attain the state of enlightenment, that state from which I can really benefit all sentient beings. And so this is then the objective, to attain a state of enlightenment. I really know that the two main causes of bringing that about is to develop the mind of enlightenment itself, combined with the wisdom realizing emptiness. And that this text, this king of mind training texts, the Bodhisattva's way of life, carves a path to be able to complete both of those paths. And so it is with great enthusiasm and sincerity that I'm here to listen to a talk or a teaching from this text this evening, this morning.
아니 내단 근데 차와 임바 있나요? 아니 네가 대다 탐제 아니 지금 가서도 지금 가서도 내단 근데 차원 대다 탐제 아니 지금 자주가 셈기베게 아니 튕겨를 배주 당투야. 내단 근데 차와는 동리도베 셰럽게 기베 탑을 배주 당투야지. 그러와 탑을 배주 당투가 중화이나 아니 고뒤네 국급 유효서로 차기도 와. 국급 유효서로 차기도 와. 다들 국급의 심투와 지에티. 랑게 점바데 시신가 토네 그뒤네 국급 심투바 제네 아니 돈이도베 셔럽 기베게 튕겨를 줘투바 제 상랑 년나가 겨와요 마데 내가 그 돈이도베 셔럽 기베 줄래 아니 두부주나 기부주나 되게 그 자주가 셈 기베 줄래 배주 땅투바 중화 임바이나 그거 아니 링불 마도바 자주가 셈 생이 상와자 라디오를 기 아니 걔네 권에 권도 패 타르 에나 산제 고마 툭툭해 준 거와 좋아 어때래.
And so, coupled with the accumulation of knowledge is the establishment of the means by which we can really progress along the path. And this means that we are able to seize every possible opportunity that is there to increase our mind of enlightenment, increase our understanding of the wisdom of emptiness, and to be able to see whatever the situation is, whether we are sick or in good health, whether we are suffering or in happiness, that we are able to see this as a means by which we turn our mind to the creation of the causes for the mind of enlightenment, for the and causes of really realizing the wisdom of emptiness, and to be able to make sure that every situation that we are in, that those two mindsets are increasing more and more. This is so important for us. And so therefore we can really, proceed kind of like, with a regular kind of sense of progress, gradually to generate that mind of enlightenment, and then allow it to increase more and more and more. Doktrang gyatang geju gap som and shiba chinji lokbe limbe gyamsin landi.
Because of the Nigu Nyandala child in Batati, Rotaka Tapala child,
They get because of the Doba Dochak, the Doba Tang and the Drapa.
Or the Doba Chapala, Doba the Trapatila, Chadabayina, and because of the Taka, there were troops, there were the because of the Yuchin, because of that Yuchin Malova, then and they were to go to read to be Julia read to be able to was that near wood because of the that because Doba the Trapata, then there Chabayina, and they let Tawa Yugumar, the Rota, Tilla Chata, and Mutino Koala, quite a YouTube ticket, and then to take again, and that you look to what the name is up, Dilla Chate, that not your resume. She was that Dilla Chane, some local the Chingy Lordess, and did Derek Maris Wuna, Chingy Law, you bet Jumzella Nija, Dala Dirje, Dirje, La Gawala Chaba Miribane, the Chaba Miribata, de Shangawa, Yimbe, Dundu Nija Yina, Kibukula, Gawachariba was the subject Nija.
And so we continue on from where we left off, and this is the fourth outline, which says the reason why this is a mistaken attitude. And mistaken attitude being referred to is this attachment to fame and praise. And so here, of course, when we talk about generating happiness, we of course need to be able to understand that it arises based on unmistaken causes, being able to generate the unmistaken causes for happiness, and that anything that's mixed up with attachment on that basis is only going to create a cause for continuous revolving in cyclic existence. And so here we want to understand that the mistaken aspect of chasing after praise and fame. And I'm saying initially this is two outlines. The first is the attachment to praise. It's a kind of how do you say, a liking for praise or being charmed by praise. That attachment is incorrect. And secondly, that the idea that it is therefore right for to enjoy it because others enjoy it, based on that reasoning, then we should strive to bring about happiness for all beings.
That's what in the Chantaka, Chidan Toba the Trava, go Maris, Toba the Trava, Yovaina, Shendu Lapchawa Cheture, Panto Lapchawa Cheture, Cheture, the Ina, Toba the Trava, Chavaina, Kyo Yorusu, Yorba, continue. 가서 차바디 껴라 딱 요래 어디 차바디라 때네 아니 미대베 동네 나서 용되기도 와 들어와다 되베 작바디 맞으나 아니 콘도상 거를 마기바 차게 와다 되게야 고치에부터 동네 고마 부지 체계도 아니 딜라 고코네 디 용의 체도 아니 되바다 작바 주나 펜도 두에 되바다 작바 주나 펜도 마두에 펜토 고산래 펜토 마도가 차이 된데 년가데 가주네 요바지와 디자 되바다 작바라 차발 때는 요구 요바 인자 보다 차바데 교요라 되바다 작바 고 말스기 요마 다디냐 고로티 요마와 와데데 가서 미주어데 샬라 펜바 주베디 미유레모도 아니 딜레 샴바 로아 딜레 샴바 제 가서 다 가서 랑라 다디 되바다 잡아 되는 년에 랑 제제 질레 못 와. 로아 레무 요라다 아니 되바다 잡아 맞잖아 아니 가서 마기바 용에다 마가 용에 되야지 용 되기로 와. 뭐다 디스기 요르바 다디냐 고마노와 제데 개좀 보러 와.
And so that there's no misunderstanding here, of course, that this is not a complete dismissal of fame or praise. That we're not saying that praise and fame are not necessarily a good thing. What is being pointed out here, that attachment to fame and praise is a problem, is a negative thing, because that attachment it comes into effect when we don't get the fame and the praise that we think we ought to get, and therefore that causes suffering for us, that causes unhappiness for us. And when we look into it, that attachment to fame and praise opens the door to many sufferings, right? But if we are able to operate without attachment and still enjoy praise and fame, then we have an increased capacity to be able to benefit other beings. So after all, our objective is to be of benefit to others. And so if we can operate without attachment, then an increased reputation is going to help us to benefit more sentient beings. So it can be a good advantage to us, a good asset for us.
벤조 여바디 누구모도 벤조 여바디 샬라 펜토도 거도 벤조라 차수나 아니 강에 되기도 로아 벤조 차수나 강에 되기도 벤조라 마차버때는 벤조 여수나 펜토도 거도 그 벤조 교 말을 착바디 교를 도
So that another example of this is sort of wealth, that there's nothing wrong with wealth in itself. That if we have wealth without any attachment to that wealth, then it can be something which is very beneficial. But if we have attachment to that wealth, then it's going to cause problems. It's going to cause issues. So the fault is not in the wealth. The fault is in the attachment to it.
그래서 창소나 여바이네 배주 땅 두고만 도와. 좋아. 마차나 여바이네 배주 땅 두고 도와.
And so you can see very coarsely that if we have attachment to our wealth, then we're unable to use it. We're kind of miserly about it. If we have no attachment to it, then we're more free to be able to use it to help others.
what 가자 그 차바디 교로도 주자라 교 말에 다다 예고다 잡아 교 말에 예고다 잡아 차바디 교래 다가 디니 봐 뿌리 야와 체체네 로아 디 차소나 아니 취마이 바 차두고도
So we can see here that when it comes to wealth, or it comes to fame or praise, that there's no fault in the wealth or the fame or praise in itself, that there's no fault in the object or the thing. It becomes from our attitude towards it, namely our attachment. That's the fault.
what that in the insa that about dala 되제 가와라 차바 미릭바 니스 미릭바네 자와레 레시 달라 세메체 달라 떼서 유미시 달라 셴가 셰자와 데네 가베 주인장 셴남 야나 달라로 셴가 달라 지시페 가데 데니 데니게 다제 데레 셰미토.
And so the first of these two then it's saying that one's attachment to this liking for praise and fame is wrong. Verses number 94 and 95 point this out. Since short-lived sounds are inanimate, they cannot possibly think of praising me. But as it makes the bestower of praise happy, my reputation is a source of pleasure for me. But whether this praise is directed at myself or someone else, how shall I be benefited by the joy of he who bestows it? Since that joy and happiness is his alone, I shall not obtain even a part of it.
That reshi Döbe Jadil, that social Dora Tanging and Döbe and Chikdela Sura Jadila and Semio Mare, Semeva Imbajiza, and the Dala Döba Jangala Dore Tanging is Nabe and Semi, the Yusigimar was. And Semeg Jadila Kawamiros Tendinza, Semeging and Doragi, Chikabutela, and Gana Tigumutus Miriguam. Because Rigimitus Mirila, Dala shed Dugan Deco, the Marimari Koran Lata and Semio Marta, Yine Dugan Gansa de la Semio is a Koran Gabuchua is a and Nalatobati Tisanaka to Slava Inasa.
And so here saying that this praise, that is the occasion of praise, is the sound of that praise, the words, the sound of the words of that praise are themselves inanimate. They don't have any possible sense of volition. Say, I'm going to praise. But here saying, I am being praised here. When you think that, that this praise itself, it's impossible that it could be animate. And so this liking towards, or this attachment towards that which is inanimate is incorrect. And so therefore, you know, it is incorrect that you should have form any attachment to these just mere words of praise.
What the Takaja, what the little quite sick the same member in Zanko, Gaeska Maris, and the Chogago Jumsemi to us. Mare, Koran same Yomari, the United token Gansa de la same Yore. Telling you by the Gansa de Koran Gabuchua in Zangala Teva Javesa, Nakagu Lava in us, what Takata Gabo Sher Tavi, Shengi Kawa de la Dagawa. The social cover duty did cover your Jumsen, did is Tambaina, share that, Sheba the social and Kabuchunga, the social tie in the Shensu in Toba Runde, Shen Tebe, Kawate Talas, then they Koran Kabuchunga, Narado Kapendo Yomar was Tala Chichi Pen, the social caliber, Kawa in the Toba, Koran Toba Jindo, you get a Kazati, social Toba Jindo, Kazati, Kabuchunga, Kaza Korangi, you could do about it. Tini target that then they Koran Gabucho Chacha social Pendobe, Yomaris, and because the social cargo do us, maybe cherish.
And so therefore we have no reason to have attachments and so on. But you say, no, it's not the words of the praise that I'm referring to. It's the actual one who is praising, the bestower of praise, that their happiness in praising me is reason enough for me to enjoy the good reputation, my good reputation that they are praising. But the answer to this is that, you know, whether that person is praising your enemy or praising you, that enjoyment there of the one who is praising can be of no benefit to you. That joy that the bestower of praise is enjoying is theirs alone, and you have no part of it whatsoever.
What then there's a social chachas and Pengu and social delight, then they go to about the Chakwa Jumsemin to us. Sure, Niba de Shen Gawa invest that is Shemba Kawajan with the Tito and the Nature Lavayuna, then there is a social Gago edges, till a Chakwa edges, Shena, Kibokun Kawachi were that in Yina, and Kaza Suine, and Kabuchunga de las Cheran Gago, till a Nietzsche. 我当让了对吧？对吧？来搞完，几百九吧，三吧，我真甚至你过来写去，
So, and so therefore it's saying that, because this is kind of nothing to do with you, there's no benefit to you, therefore you shouldn't have any attachment to this praise. The second of these outlines was that since the other enjoys praising, referring to the bestower of praise, since they're enjoying it, then it should be a prompt for you to strive to bring joy to all beings. And this has two subheadings. One is the actual point itself, and the other is a point which refers to the fact that if you're being charmed or have some sort of addiction to praise, then it's really just the behavior of a child.
我的这他当不得了找我来，爹我也打的呢，他先搞我就说的我的呢，过来的先，结果呢，记得先了搞我也，爹我就那打米的。
And the first of these is clarified by verse number 96. But if I do find happiness in his happiness, then surely I should feel the same way towards all. And if this were so, then why am I unhappy when others find pleasure in that which brings them joy?
他现在因为他刚才先搞个中生个，俺说搞国产机嘛，那对吧不？对吧的，大家对我写完呢，说了对吧的了，对吧不？的，俺那可能俺那个对吧中央人生，俺那对吧的写完呢，俺的中生个，俺先对吧的了的呢，俺说搞个多了，那我呢，甚至滚了，他。甚至数亿万呢，过来样，俺电视的搞完结果个的是，俺这里结果个原来那看的钱呢，先找我搞完一，先说了这个那把这个找我的，女生电话就完了，俺那电了打没搞完，俺那就搞个么多啊，马搞搞了差多几个多啊，这搞钱几个月是可能电话地基用啊的了，俺那就搞不结果个多啊是，没电话搞了这的，这没这说些吧我讲，
And so here the kind of the one opponent in this debate is again bringing up the point, but I can enjoy the enjoyment of the happiness of the one who is bestowing the praise. What's wrong with that? And so the answer to that is, therefore, if that's the case, then you should be that much more concerned with bringing happiness to all beings, without exception. And so that is the case. But why is it then that, say, for your enemy, the one who harms you, that they are enjoying themselves, they are enjoying the happiness of body and mind? Why isn't it that you aren't happy for them? That is incorrect, that you are not happy for them.
这他这先搞原本种菜，俺搞个老外，俺先找不搞完，现在既然搞过个的话，你搞个么多话是，俺地来搞不起过个的话是我说的。
So if you're happy for the other person in this regard, then you can be happy for all sentient beings, and therefore why discriminate against the one who you label as enemy when they are having a good time? You should be happy for them as well.
我的大概这个现在的专门不了上来过这个你的茶当半夜当，你刚才刚刚的3年多吧用夜当，是吧？你刚才所以把那电话对东北没对吧？一般种菜了，但呢，你电话中国也，东北3个月，是吧？这个我看大概这让种菜都没这真的，大概这让地了对吧没都给这买一把这现的电话对吧种菜给，电话对吧种菜给，电话点对。 그 동네 밑에 좀 세게 동네에 대두고 놓겠고요. 근데 삼로 당와이나 아나 라라 녀바 기게지 봐 이네. 들라야 대화 된다고 놓겠투에. 가서 코 대화 두고 여러 동네 두고 요 말에. 뒤좀 살았더니 대화 두게. 동네 두고 매서 동네 빵두고 놓겠고요. 좀제 뒤치나 대화 두고 동네 밑에 좀 살았더니 코체다. 뒤져봐이나 가서 쏠아이네 놓겠투에 좀 그러와. 다 착당의 온도 치봐이나 아니 라다 샘다 녀보지라 대화 되에 동네 미디에 라다 샘다 녀보면은 디마게지 용되기도 와.
And so, because then, that our objective here is that, we are kind of on the one, say, aspiring to be a benefit to all sentient beings without discrimination. But it is the case that we operate through discrimination and discriminating. And so here we have to be able to recognize these occasions and to move towards having a sense of equanimity towards all sentient beings. That's, and now to keep reminding ourselves that all sentient beings want happiness, and all sentient beings want to avoid suffering. And so it's kind of like, this is not just a path for ourselves. It is that which is really more concerned with the vast majority of others, all sentient beings. It is for their sake that we are doing this, and we have to infuse our thinking more and more with the concern of all others, not ourselves. And if when we are able to kind of really operate, in general life with that thinking, when it really has been infused into our mind, then even when someone harms us, we will not have the thought of revenge or anything, but we will actually immediately thinking of how we can be of benefit to them straight away. And that, this is how we need to do that. That because every person, whoever they are, no matter who they are, they do want happiness. They do not want suffering. They want to establish the former and want to eradicate the latter. And so it's kind of important that we move away from holding just those who kind of we get on with as close and everybody else as distant. And we have to kind of increase more and more those who are kind of held under the wing of closeness for us.
Kind of the Junjugu Shune, Shella Pen talk with Jumsel the Gasana, they want to do Mituba in Jumsel the Scopasig Yorba. They want to do Mituba in Bayasa, Mituba Yinsa, and Tunga Sequeta, they want to Gwech. That Jumsel did when the Samatana, never king and Jebine, they want to do Mituba Chaterwa. And Jumsel dig China, they let Pepper to Tunga Sequech.
So in the Bodhisattva's way of life makes this very, very clear, and that, it's clear that we can take for granted that we all desire happiness. Nobody desires suffering. And therefore, that, people are behaving in that way. They themselves want happiness. They don't want suffering. And so that we should greet everybody in that way, and to be able to have that foremost in our objective, that we are to establish happiness for them, and to make sure that we can eradicate the suffering for them.
코아드네 다 루아다 가제 체디 샴발레 마토 체디 샴발레 마토나 치메드연 두나 치메드연 두마도나 아니 가서데 타바다 탐제케베 된 디간에 두고 말와 아니 떼달라 차서나 체디 치메 담두고 와 떼다스근데 체디 치와 루아다 체디 디기레 차네 아니 차바 딜라데네 아니 치메드연 두도마 치메드연 마토나 아니 가서데 장주섭에 쪄바다 파쇼 아니 가서데 치만 원되고 공부하게 그 기부 충을 대한자매 두고 말와 다된데 임바인사 와다 치와 딜레 타바지 고고레스 중국어와 또다데 디 칭네 디 담샤네 아니 추를 땅거 요 말와 원되고 교주에게 람레 땅거 요 말. 디 마다나다 타바다 탐제 겸바 샤다바 타르 뭐 계자르와 And
so, how does this translate in at this point in the text where we're discussing attachment to fame and praise. And it's really saying here that, pointing out in no uncertain terms, that if you have that attachment, it's going to bind you to cyclic existence. It will not allow you to even to have happiness in this life, and forget about having a future life. And what about the idea of the omniscient state of enlightenment goes completely out the window. And it's just it can't be contemplated at all, because that attachment to fame and praise binds us. Is that which kind of like really ties us down. And we can forget about the mind of enlightenment, developing the mind of enlightenment. We can forget about even the higher rebirth, the objective of the lower capacity being. And so, this is what this point of the text is saying, that if you kind of really give time to this attachment to fame and to praise, then you are destroying both your direct and any future objectives and purposes that you have.
다 니바 랑라 떼발라 가와데 다 집에 줘봐도 충분해서 집에 줘봤어야 집에 줘봤자면 디레시마 가야 말했어. 저기 랍치부 주근기 미지 말했어. 싸war래 대외 단에 떼도시 란제 가와 깨줘봐 대야 대다 밑에 집에 줘봐 코나세스.
The second of these subheadings was that this sort of attachment to praise is no more than the behavior of a child. And verse number 97 states, "Therefore, the happiness that arises from thinking I am being praised is invalid. It is only the behavior of a child."
다 집에 줘봐서도 부글라 통중다에 계좌 말을 다가서라 삼로가 네세 말론 교스기 여러와 삼로가 네세 말론 지 가서 로아 집아 임바 인상 아니 그 삼로로 거서 야제 당에서도 롭종 저기 요래 랍다 약불로 당기 요래 아니 소종 약부 좀 가서 거기 네세 동매보다 네세 롱에서도 저기 여러와 안 조선 파마서 조선 먹고 당기 요래 가서 그 통중 제고 집에 줘봐 총알서 그 네세 말론 교 삼로가 네세 말론 교레스 삼로군 니와 마땅 교레 어디스고 요르바 어디스고 요르 근데 인자 다 대외나 근데 인바사 다니 셰게 또도셰 랑기 줄라 안 가와케바 주바디야 파 딱지 제바나 제바는 딱 판도에 가야면 되고서 근데래 착바디 판도에 가 니고 중세장 매베 매베서 로다 되게 소소라 저기 가서데 저기 튼제 가야 중고요 말다 이렇게 가 판도고 요 말때 착바디 중세장 매베 대다 뛰어봐 좀 가외 규인 밑에베 대 뛰어봐 좀데 안 소소 가보요 규인스도 다데 문에나 삼로당 마시베 계절해서 좀 세미도 밑에베 되마발라 가와치바 되다 촌에 매근들 안 가보자데 집에 줘봐 코나세도 셔봐 오죠.
And so then the reasoning here, and of course here we're talking about not this putting children down in some way, but it's really pointing to the limitations of a child's thinking, isn't it? That this is why we want to kind of ensure that our child is, gets a good education, to increase the breadth and range of their thinking and their behavior and so on, and all the expense that takes and so on. All of that is to educate, to actually broaden the mind of the child. And so this is not a verse which is insulting to children, but rather it's saying the limitations of a child's mind. And it's equating this to the attitude which says, yeah, but I really kind of like this, this increases joy in my mind stream to be praised. And to have that sort of attachment to it like that is saying, you are really attached to something which is essentially essenceless. That a mere attachment to praise is incorrect in that regard, and that that the one who kind of really enjoys the meaningless is the child, and therefore if you are attached to praise for its own sake, then you are engaged in indulging in the meaningless, and you are behaving like a child.
잡사서
That's all.
대신 조선我等的我等的因为因上那个当个就等这个告诉的对战了那差距要嘛的对战了差不多呢我当告诉的这个说判断开没吧就他就说是吧他本来我就当到过到考了考的顶这个考这个有吧是吧如果让三个想法的就三牛毛不想法的就我有个你就马上把钱安尼等这了高考钱呢安尼第一切都安尼他第把那错吧就啥钱呢我他感觉这个就那错吧啥钱他等那马头吧就他贵的做的他调查了说等来查呢是吧他查是的安尼等那当个门多等那当个门多等那查是那等那等那他个门多我他这些木头的考了那个的，那这是那点吧，是吧？他这个的，俺大的捐助个兄弟，我出把钱呢，哦，他的个人都打死，个人都打死，我出把钱呢，俺当然说到，俺刚30钱的给钱不得多，我这里，
So again, here it's kind of pointing in no uncertain terms to this attachment, focusing in on the attachment here. That is the problem with all of this praise and fame, and that here, we are in cyclic existence. We shouldn't forget that we're in here because why we have come under the influence of mental affliction and created negativities that have thrown us into this reality known as we have many negativities to deal with. And in here, in the Bodhisattva's way of life, Master Shantideva is pointing to this is another one. This attachment is an issue, along with those negativities. And if you kind of continually kind of fertilize this attachment, then there can be no liberation from cyclic existence. You are binding yourself deeper and deeper into cyclic existence. So therefore, it's pointing out this is a fault. This has to be dealt with.
我的了这，他你把判断吧什么，他是对战了给钱吧，今天中华人民呢，我是对战了，超说呢对战了给钱呢，我就那个多，他今天是对战了给钱跟中华呢，说了判断个有吧的，他我这把结果的是，是吧？他什么了你讲对战给钱吧，按照国际人民得了出名的不等，说他超说那错误的话，我他马上呢都这个什么当多个多。 안디 윤델로 통도다 계획제바데 델로 초메리 보다 연주 국제 계획제베 델로 초메리 보다 아니 시발레 죄제 임베 초메리 봐 오전 sabjenice
So now we're looking at all of this from a very different angle, saying reflecting on the benefit, the beneficial ways in which you can refer to or relate to fame and praise. And this has two main outlines. The first of these is that that since obstacles to praise and fame are obstacles to the lower realms, therefore anger is completely out of place towards these obstacles. Secondly, since it can also be that which facilitates liberation from cyclic existence, anger is again inappropriate.
我的这不是我的这他南就呢调查了超说呢那调查了给这个说呢我到底你查一下我做了马个人下子但我可是的我来过去呢那把给多是我到的这也给那 reputation 了那说是他马给把真的在做的整个的话我到的这个什么当就嘛他的确保我那几嘛那他的听见什么当过的是没有吧可是调查了超把的我就穷了所以给这个的调查了给这个的确这边听见了什么当多吧呢我车多吧呢的听见我那车个有的这里有的听我车多吧结果的是没有吧他的意思我车多吧结果的是我的是没有了他的那因为意思他当过的了调查了些个啥都说都个说什么不是他调查了给这个那年中国这一边得了出名的吧得了 그래서 초메릭보다 시발을 저제 임베 초메릭보다 니제 나 당보들라 뼈자기 계획제백 년조 고제 임바들라 초메릭보들라 니제나 뼈자를 셴베 니바 군계기도스 뼈자를 셴바이나 차바이나 니바 탐제 계용구도 그러와 로 아니 대곡제 년다 뼈자게라 뼈자를 계획제게서 된대게 아니 니바 군 지금 년주 동네라 소바들 기억부터 근데 년대 맞아 더발라 계획 잡아나 대 년주 동네라 소바들 국제 차주부터 소바들 sabte ni ko ne shebache ni ko ne shebache
And so again, these points to the quintessential points or issues that we have in relating to somebody who might create obstacles to our reputation or our fame, who kind of disparage or insult or criticize. We often have a very quick automatic judgment on those. They are the enemy, on those ones who are doing that, and they can be our greatest enemy all of a sudden, that my reputation is at stake here and these are trying to destroy my reputation. And so you can see this is kind of like the reaction that we can often have when we're in this situation. But if we're a real Dharma practitioner, then you will see that what is causing that reaction is attachment to your own reputation and praise. And therefore what's happening here is a helpful kind of like recalibration of what your reputation should be. And therefore it is actually attacking your attachment. And so you should see this as something helpful and beneficial, because you want to deal with that attachment. The first of these, then the point which says that the obstacles to fame and praise are obstacles to the lower realms, and therefore anger is not appropriate towards those who are creating those obstacles. This has two, again, subheadings. The first is that the attachment or the clinging to fame and praise generates all fault. And secondly, that obstacles to fame and praise are also obstacles to the lower realm. Lower realms.
That
the first of these points, that the clinging to praise and fame is the source of all fault, is verse number 98, which says, praise and so forth distract me and also undermine my disillusion with cyclic existence. I start to envy those who have good qualities, and all the very best is destroyed.
미발에 아니 랑게 추 두베게 아다 가서 객제네 영화제에서 제 영화제 주차주고 주입에 되네 코알라 경아 집어체라서 다 코에 동에 그 나대 제도서 아니 대다 마세 아니 기부 연대 대마도래 아니 지금 차도 차야 로다 로 가서데 차도 차야 딜 제수이라 제마도에 로다 지 딜라 로다 랑지 갈로 인도도 제네 아니 딜라 구바자 야 랑게 가서데 민단데들 누기려 삼다다 진데기 답간제 지금 소소 셀을 하바 얘기다 때마다 잡아도 되는 아니 지금 고로 연대면에 유였던도 안다 가제 자제 지금 인도도 제는 맞아 다 미기를 지금 탑고 여러 왔다 지금 때마다 잡아 용해 제도 어떤데 제도 아니 문에 전에 안 거서도 연대 대반나라요 아니 차도다 아니 랑기 다 랑기 아니 개와 냠줘야 된다. 아니 생게 부순 속바된데 로다 가자 레단 딜레데네 아니 개와 두에 개가 뭐 붙여주고도 하잖아. 아니 세 부순 아니 딜레데네 아니 지금 문제잖아. 생게 아니 연대다 저돌아 제수 이란 제바 이나다. 아니 랑라 지금 부순 속바 탐제 용액이 규주고 있다. 아니 되게 탐제 안 직받제와 용마도 외쳐야지. 그래서 뒤 연주 탑라 랑라 아니 뒤가 빠도 매버서네 아니 동에 빠도 매버 용에 유튜브 돼야지 부수소바 탐제 직받지 니바 군제 중에서 아니 셰바제고 셰바제는 되달라 가와 매직소 셰바오체.
And so this verse is detailing the problems that this attachment towards fame and praise and even wealth has. And so here it's saying it destroys, it distracts us from virtue. And so it becomes a cause of distraction from virtue. And it destroys our disillusionment with cyclic existence, our distaste for cyclic existence. And when it comes to others who have good qualities, it starts the process of competition with those who have, and a jealousy of those who have, thinking ourselves to be greater than others because of this praise and fame. And so it has all of these kinds of faults, and it destroys all of the best, all of our own virtue and the very best in others. And therefore it can kind of therefore justifiably be seen as the source of all fault, that instead of being able to benefit others through our good reputation, instead of being rejoicing in the good qualities of others, we have this kind of like constant attachment, which is making all of this into a fault, into something which is the source of all fault. And therefore, this sort of clinging to praise and fame in this way is completely incorrect.
我的感觉对照了唱完的那对照用来给几个更加了那这个说的这个说的差多说了的那马个我用的的这个么感觉牛毛毛不过钱过吧牛毛毛不过钱过不是牛毛毛不过钱过的钱过吧我大概这让马上送也让大概的写了古巴的自古企业给그래서 구바다 지구시에게 누바의 충도 두고도와 구바다 지구게 소소가 되바다 잡발아 차소나 아니 구바다 지구 전에 라 셀레 교아 인베소라제 셀레 누바 충아 인베소라제 아니 차 두고도 삼사제는 아니 지금 디게 아니 가서도 돈도니아와라 때네 아니 구바다 지구에서 마용에 다 막고 용한테 그러와 소소 마사 소에 용도 뭐도와 도와나 때는 마사 소아데 용 마도나 아니 거지게 가서도 레다 지금 아게다 디게데 숙체다 도그래라 아니 또 간제 진대체도 니 가서 윤대 먹보죠 고카주다 고카베 가서 니바 먹보 중고 차주고도 아니 니서 못다 매벌게 레사 주고도 다 간제 데데 임바이자 그 푸수소바 탐제 용액 아니 객체도고도 셰라 구바다 세고다 세와 디게데 건가 푸수소바 탐제 용액 규칙으로 와 구바다 세고다 아니 셰베 지금 개체부 지에 되가 매바 차토네 데데 지바이나 nga 셀레 쪼아리샤 셀레 마아리샤 삼사게 나와 차그레 데 소소 첨부 인도도 제데 셀레 지고 매바 될 영화지.
And this point of it that which is destroying our virtue and dismissing the excellence or the best of all others, basically then as the source of all fault. And understanding this, we could see that it is absolutely incorrect to develop a clinging towards praise and fame, and that so here that the way in which this clinging towards a reputation, clinging towards praise, of being seeking constant acknowledgement and so on, is the source of all. Because we are automatically seeing that we are greater than others, that it's furnishing this kind of false attitude of thinking that I am greater than others because everybody is acknowledging me and praising me and so on. It then automatically also reduces or erodes our capacity for rejoicing in the good qualities of others. We don't see anything worthwhile because they're not as good as what we are. And so we can see that this attachment or clinging to praise in this way is a great obstacle. It in fact opens the door to many mental afflictions that the self the kind of like idea that we should have respect and appreciation for others is eroded all as well, because we see ourselves as so superior, so separate from, so special in relation to others, and that and of course this then of course breeds the sense of pride and arrogance in us as well. And here then we become isolated in that sense of our own wonderfulness, our own excellence, and so we put down everybody else, and we don't see any need for the same sense of respect and appreciation, genuine love for others. And so this respect, when we cling to attachment in this way, is the source of all fault. So in this way too, as we see in the 8 verses of mind transformation, in that verse where it says, may I see myself as inferior to all others and hold them as even greater than a wish-fulfilling gem, that this is why this is so crucial. And everybody else, all other sentient beings, hold myself as inferior and all other sentient beings as supreme.
What 가자 예고다 작바다 딘조라 바다 가자 갑자기 작은 열봐. 갑자기 작은 열봐. 예고다 작바다. 라 셴발라 하와 이삼다 작바 용야다 된다 갑자기 작은 열봐.
So this is kind of a way of really opposing this tendency towards wanting this respect and wanting this fame and praise and so on. That we hold ourselves as lower than or inferior to all others.
The
second of those subheadings was that which causes an obstacle to fame and praise is creating actually an obstacle to our going to the lower realms. And so verse number 99 clarifies this somewhat. It says, therefore, are not those who are closely involved in destroying my praise and the like also involved in protecting me from falling into the unfortunate realms?
다 떼바다 작바딜라 차바디 누구 요바 심바 임바이나 아니 떼바다 작바라 계획적인데 아니 펜토고 요바다는 삼탄토바 정거로 와 와다 삼탄토바 인데 좀제 대체나 안 다제 떼바다 작바라 속에서 시벌적인 떼바다 작바서 요리 계획적인 매바 속에 가서 작바 속에 소니 시베치도 매바 요마주가 지금 대체도 강다 기본 단대 지게게 아니 수임바 있네 아니 소소 틀라 요되게 소소 예화나 요되게 내가 대다 다니 다 대다가 소소로 송겹지 거죠 소소 년송了동화라 송외체도 주관미는 소소 년송了동화체 니고 잡았을 텐데 차네 아니 년송了기고요 디송외체도 아니 되바다 잡았대도 라 객체네 주관미는 대 임베 민남대 됐지 말이베 다들 레샤 안 되네 이마자 딜라 터나 지금이 도스 메소 샤바오차
So this particular verse then is really pointing out that somebody who is acting as an obstacle to our praise and fame is actually pointing out this is a beneficial thing for us. This is something that we should see as being very, very helpful. And the reason being is that when somebody kind of seeks to destroy praise and especially our reputation, and also are closely involved in that. I mean, whoever it is really should be seen as a protector and somebody who is protecting us from going to the lower realms because of the clinging that we had towards that fame and that reputation. And so the question is that shouldn't we be really praising them? Shouldn't we really be appreciating them for that? And the answer is yes, we should, and therefore anger towards them is completely inappropriate.
다 되네 뭐자 라 녀모게 샤와죠 라 생베 샤와 셈 녀모베 샤와도 존네 아니 뭐유게 내수 가리 팬다 마iten게 아니 남주게 제바 제마도 와이나 아니 소소 고코네 녀모게 샤와도 존네 무드네 코알라 코에게 아니 소소 다 주드네 텔레페 텔라 사보가네 하디기도 다 뭐유게 내주다 tum바도 가게랑라 팽기도 가게랑라 녀기도 아니 팬다 녀게 아니 남주 베주 땅 심바이나 아니 미실 레라다 시우친사도 와 뭐든가 아니 소소 니고다 작발을 내게도 오서 딜라 마가제 딜라 갑대 자야저 뒤지 먹고 싶을 땅게 열봐 뒤지 네가 땅 먹어래도 와 소소 뭐유게 내주 심바이나 뭐유게 내주 티바 치바이나 아니 지금 강가 최주배 튕겨를 배주 땅 도와 준 것도 와
And so it's this ability to remain in the actuality of every situation, to be able to see what is beneficial in this scenario, that we can understand that, the attachment to fame and so on and praise is part of the whole nexus of mental affliction, that which keeps us cycling in cyclic existence continuously. And something that we really need to get rid of, and this somebody who's putting these obstacles towards in our face, relating to that attachment we have, that clinging we have to fame and praise and so on, is really doing us a massive favor. That we are being the mental aspect, the mental afflictive aspect of that clinging is clear to us. And so we were able to see what is harmful in that situation and what is a more beneficial way of regarding it, and to be able to use our intelligence, in this regard, and to be able to see that all of what occurs for us can be used in its Dharma connection, that we can reduce the harmful attitudes and the situations that we find ourselves in, and transform more into that which is beneficial.
나는 가라서 내수 건가 뭐유게 내수 마시베 녹자래도와 뭐유게 내수 문에시나 아니 뭐유게 내수 문에시나 아니 디다 tum베도나 아니 저 뭐유게 아니 디지투투야 뭐유게 아니 동에세 투야 용투거와 다나 먼저 동에 되고 요 말에 대화 되고 요래 레데 이네 주드다 마시 받테네 아니 뭐유게 내수 라마토 발라테네 아니 소소 드웨데 대화 두고 요데 동에 줄 두베르치 미데바 가서데 동에 레데 동에 만다 줘야 되에 대화레데 대화되네 장정의 정도 줘야 주투베데 뭐유 내수 마시 받 디 마시 받토네 아니 가서 주드 두본데 아니 그 주다다 레 두고 본도와
And so this ability to recognize and to abide in the actuality of things for us is extremely important, because here we can avoid harmful actions and engage in creating the causes for happiness. We can avoid the causes of harm by being able to do this and to understand what the real causes of happiness are, what the real causes of harm are that must be eradicated. And that here it's about being able to see things clearly, to see the actuality of what is in front of us, and to make on that basis wiser decisions.
What did it? What did it? In by Yasa, and Tata was a Tomdo the Garijago or Totala Chajumendus. And a Tota Mo is a Mares. Tota Koran Nugumendus. In a Kari Nugs, a Totala Chapatla Nugudus. And Tota Chapatla Nuonde, and a Totala Machabayina. Machabayina, and a Rangi, Tiki Munegi, and a Guju to Gudus. And a Totala Gig Chicken Joaina. Gig chicken join total gig chicken join by ina, and a gig chicken tea, and a rangi, Munetaneg, Nyasungi, and it's Caso Guanam, Rogasan. A total so what the neg, and a gig chicken join ina, and a so the Nyasona cake, Sunja chicken, motor to go to Tilatene, and of course, take us the Tilatene, and a tea, pen talk you about motor to go to. And Tilatena control Sayat and Tila Magawa Keg, Tendeke, Yomon Goka to those. Tende Imaza, and Coach Chen Namdaji to again, Tungela Totuza, that to get the Ganga motor to a Jumudua. The Tata Total Chasura to get Yon to Gumudua. Yon to Gumudua, that in the Imaza, and it Chicaso the total Pantoa in Eta, total Nukeva in Eta, and it to get the Ganga, total Machana, church of a Tungela Vegetan to Gudua. What I get young to do, what I get was not too much in it, and it did that too much to buy in and it because of the legacy new charge of the lega mango, and dear, so that they were due to go that they were due to the Dunga due to dead. What did they do?
And so really, what we're after here is that, that this attachment to praise and fame that is being attacked here, that is being dismissed here, not praise and fame in its own self. That this is not the case. That here, that when we can operate without attachment towards praise and fame, it can be the source of creating causes of real happiness for us, and that anybody creating obstacles for praise and fame, in there we have to see as also creating or protecting us from the lower realms, and as such, the reality is here that they are indeed beneficial. They are doing something incredibly beneficial for us. Therefore, there can be no anger towards them. There can be no disliking of them. And so it's a case of being able to see all situations as convenient for engaging in spiritual action. And that when we are able to act in accordance with reality, then there's no situation that falls outside of being able to establish the causes for happiness, to eradicate the causes for unhappiness. And so everything becomes Dharma. And indeed, our work becomes very easy and much less. We can see here that the ability to be able to find the causes of happiness, of real happiness for ourselves, and to eradicate the causes of suffering are ever present.
And because of the Ijigal was a symbol as well. Tap table, chat. And it Marazuganga, the due to go, you may get that the quiet due to the so busy social door, and a busy star member, and a chair, because of the more nature to the doom devil, which not make it. And tap table. and gaza javana gaza de ko nyokda joye cha joye dada ngo zo samlo tangda di thola chema ina joye dewa jugo da nyokda da mangda chene ane jiga kaso de 다 가자 무튼에 동네 유튜브 대지 용되기도 하고 다 가자 소소게 다 인지깔 무슨 비지 소샤기도 하다 되면 비지 시라 매바체 답 대부지체 아니 구양보지 토네 아니 구이네서 세다 통투에 어디를 다 용투에 좀 그러고 어디래 안 딜레 랑바 셴바체네 요 말에 뭐 문에 대화 되고도나 람 셴바체 요 말에
And so, again, I'm saying, as it says in English, it's simple. This is the simple attitude to develop. That we recognize that the causes that bring us into cyclic existence, and we are able to, maintain this capacity to transform every situation into a cause of virtue and to eradicate the cause of non-virtue. That trouble diminishes more and more. And whereas if we kind of like pander to our praise and fame and any other negativity, we can see the trouble increases more and more. And so we kind of move away from this kind of busy attitude and to kind of really clarify actuality for ourselves more and more. We can see that, in fact, if we really want happiness, if we really want to really nail the causes of happiness, there is no other path.
Ola so da niba sibale jeje yimbe za traumatic banis da niba sibale jeje yimbe traumatic bala ni sa de so la ke che ba sibale jeje yimbe traumatic ba ta dunge ge ko jeje yimbe traumatic ba o sabje ni che da dang bo de so la ke che sibale jeje yimbe traumatic ba ne za wa le da ni do wa de ni la ni da gu de ching mi go gang da da je de je ba. The
second of those subheadings was that anger is also inappropriate because in this instance, those who create obstacles to praise and fame for us are facilitating our liberation from cyclic existence. And this has two subheadings in itself. That the first is, yes, anger is inappropriate because those who that the obstacles to praise and fame are facilitating a liberation from cyclic existence. And secondly, anger is inappropriate because this is also closing the door to suffering. The first of these, the verse number 100 says, I who am striving for freedom do not need to be bound by material gain and honor. So why should I be angry with those who free me from this bondage?
차베 치와서 다 소소로 문에잖아 거의 요 말에 미고에 차들 미고서 아니 로 기부 가다 기부 소이 말에 니고게에서 객제네 다 코와래 징벌어 아니 좋아 지긴 게다 좋아 지긴 될라 다 지다 토래 된데 좋아 지긴 아니 지긴 다 소소로 코와래 좋아 지긴 게 평바 지긴 게 될라 갈제를 초벌해 된데 다니에서 지다 토대 토미리고 마세 아니 소소 문에잖아 가와게 고와지래도 가와게 와리고 직소 셔봐서 근데 가와게 두고 뭐더나 토하나다 싸워냐 지금 말했어 뭐다 되래.
And so this verse is simply pointing out, and for myself, who striving to attain liberation from cyclic existence, that have no need of this respect and this honor, and therefore, if there is somebody who is creating an obstacle to my gaining such respect and honor or gain in any sense, then they are acting, in fact, to free me from the binds of cyclic existence. And therefore, anger is not appropriate there at all. In fact, I should really like them for doing that. And if I can't like them for doing it, I certainly should not be in any way angry at them.
我知道，你把它东岸界是搞决界应该是的，说的东岸搞决界，应该是创美的把那早完了，他呢东岸就到了三界给你积累些，没懂公布，你就把得了他的其他措施。
And so here the second of these then where it says anger is inappropriate because the ones who create obstacles to the respect and honor are those who are opening a door from suffering, I think is what it refers to. So verse number 101 says, those who wish to cause me suffering are like Buddhas bestowing waves of blessing. As they open the door for my not going to an unfortunate realm, why should I be angry with them?
但是啊，他呢，第一你别说我的，我的刚才的调查的，你给他点点来抢呗，是吧？你把第你别你送给东岸界呢，看把就对吧了，你送给东岸给看把电脑就对吧了，那三界个经济老板那些钱呢，是吧？三界的讲究什么那个经济老板那些钱，第几讲对。 现在，调查说给解决不可能，年松都没动完了，搞怕你都是就把这没动完，我你都就把这得了，但你其他错没有说是吧？我是他个这个年中的没动吧，搞干呢，这个年松了，他也搞切吧那些，就我得了，但你其他错没有说是吧？我想。
And so this verse is referring to, for others who through fault, kind of like creating the kind of like absorbed in the sufferings of the lower realms, and that who kind of like create obstacles in this way. They are like creating waves of the Buddha's blessings for me, because in creating obstacles towards my fame and praise, they are releasing me from the lower realms and opening a doorway out of those lower realms, giving me passage to free myself from those lower realms. And so therefore, anger towards them is completely inappropriate.
我他感觉他 가서 뭐도 대대 갑라 가서 녀몽 깨운 거 봐. 다 녀몽 깨운도 다 녀몽 뒤다 대대가 중화돼 최주배 튕겨를 배주 담아줘 와이나 개개 차와이나 아니 다 내면도 요 말와 다들 최주배 튕겨를 배주 따네. 와 최주배 튕겨를 배주 따네다 가서 다 간제 저게 로아다 튕겨를 배주 따는데 아니 뭐다 어디서 가서 samutang yimbayina ane ko kegen la mato tungge la do de yorba what do samutang la do what
So this is again pointing out the necessity of being able to transform what might otherwise generate mental affliction and create therefore an obstacle to one's practice into a conducive condition for one to enhance one's practice.
Dimana di gegen jigen dela ane kondosa ane dela dene ane dela nege nesemke ane mutino koala tuwe da gyudu tubdegirwa ta dene yindu ta de gugub simzene ane di chunchube tungele beju tane ane tungele beju tane ane ta nyamle nandajirwa wadire.
And so if not what we are doing is, getting angry at those who are, causing us suffering, that, we develop a malicious intention, wanting to get our own back on them. And of course, we know what this leads to, just a continual cycling and cyclic existence. And so we have to train our minds to be able to actually see that situation as actually an opportunity to be able to transform it into a conducive condition, and to use that conducive condition to avoid the suffering aspect and to create virtue.
What did it? Niba Sonam Gate Javala Tom, Dirba. Niba Sonam Gate Javala Tom, Ripola Somja. Sonam Gi is a Niba Sonam Gate Javala, Tom Miripane, Sonam Gate Java, Tom Miripata, Sonam Gi is a cake Java, cake Sonam Gi cake Maimba. Kuba Java Chudo, Samba Wacha. Tambola Sonam like cake Java, Tom Miripata, Sonam Gate Java, cake Java, Tom Miripana, Sonam Gi cake Java. Cake Java, Tom Miripana, Dilla Nichana, Katuki Chola never Jawata. Della cake Jana, Rani Sonam Gi as a Pacha to Juba Wacha, such a niche.
But moving on then to another main outline, the second, and it's saying here that obstacles to our accumulating virtue or merit, positive merit, anger towards that is completely inappropriate. This is 3 subheadings. The first is that anger is inappropriate towards obstacles created to merit. Secondly, that there is no obstacle to that merit. And thirdly, reflecting on the object of respect. And with regard to the first, again, first is that inappropriate anger is inappropriate towards that which creates an obstacle to our creating merit. These are 2 subheadings. Again, the first is the situation in which there is this supreme austerity, and secondly, that actual object to obstacles to that actually can become an obstacle to merit. All right, the actual obstacle to that can become an obstacle to merit.
What is what that Tambudilla Casada Katuke Chola never Jawasa, Takanjay what is it? What is it? Della Zawala, Daniel Sonam, Gage, Della Toa Mirita, Susun Katu Yumina, Della Tani, Joseph Demaswa, Della Tani Minesams. Yeah.
So verse number 102 says, "But what if someone should obstruct my gaining merit? With him too, it is incorrect to be angry. For since there is no fortitude similar to patience, surely I should put it into practice."
Neguda, Niendrada, Dendele Gekjabano, Sotuba, Yene, Tasoya, Gewatu, Ya Pachetas, Ota Nesulam Savile Gekchigdosia, delay a Masobajo Jungur, Ota delay in a Sotuba Chigures, Sotuba Chigures, Suetre. That Dines, Sonam Gekchado, Ota Kunga Sonam Sile Gekchado, and Yek to be a Gekchigdos. Cake to Dosata, Cake Dosha, Sonam Gekchadosha. Shevaina, Della in a Tona Tigumaris, Tona Merite, De Junse, Garajanasan, so Sonogi cake Jeva Yina, and a Della Soba Coba Yina, and a Casoda Soba Govaina, and a Sobe Catubel, how I never insa, Soba that Suba Sonam de Catu share Yuba Maimbe, than the Soba della Minesam there. So Rana John Yomare, Casana, Soso Sonam Gek Java in a Soso Sonal Gek Jadus and a Contro Sava Yina, and Soso Nugu Yore Manto, and the Contro Masaba Chene, and Soba Gomto Baina, Sonam Hagate, and Sobe Catu de Sonam Haga Chatigu. Rwanda Sabata Katu Mesa, Katu Shen Yoba Maimbaina, Dagi Nes, that Sosogine, that Seba della Minesam, that the name is a Kochik Sabati, Duke to Yella, net to a Chigum dress. Never Chikuras, Minesam, then never require, never Chetuba Chigos. Then the Imba is that, then they go Sabati Yoetella, and Chicas. Share Tabuchilla Tencon, Sobati Yongu Dua. Today is a new king and Sobati Yongu Yasako, or that cook up chires. Samatan Gores was with
And so here is a situation where, we are again in the mode of respect and honor, that if somebody is creating an obstacle to that, an enemy in some way, we're thinking, no, I'm actually trying to engage in merit here, and these people are obstructing that meritorious action. So therefore, I should be angry at them. The answer is no. You cannot be angry in a situation like that. You need to kind of really source your patience in a situation like that. That here, saying that there is no fortitude or austerity like patience in this regard, to be able to understand that this has to be the choice, not anger, because anger is that which is going to be incredibly harmful to the situation and particularly to ourselves, and it cannot be any choice at all. And that here, whether we are able to actually practice our patience or not requires the kind of figure of an enemy anyway. And so one should see this as the opportunity to test our patience.
Hotel. Takaja Ruata Kansa Digi Sonam Cake Chavala Tene, Rangi Soba Kobaina, Rangi Soname Satugu Yora, and Sube Namlia Chetugu Yuva, Soso Kapsana. Soso Kapsana, Soso also the Jonagu, sometimes you're the Jonagu Yomare, so the Soname Sagu Yorela, Sobaya Sube Namle Jetona, Sonamea Satugu Yorea, Sube Namlia Chetugutua, Niga Yon Tugutua. That the cook never take to Nesonum Silent, never take to Soso Condo Satavana, and Sonoma Yogo Yomarilla, Survey Yamne Mabacana, and Conjugate Nemi Sai Jomatigua. So the John Nizala Tegua. Roatak and the piggy rang the son of like Cake Chavalatena, rang the Seba combated, Sonam down, Seba Niga Yamne Yontugutua.
So here one has to see the stark contrast between the two possible responses to somebody interfering with one's meritorious action. That if we choose anger, then we're not only have the fault of anger, but we also have the fault of increasing our habituation to anger. That knee-jerk into the angry response. But if we choose patience, we not only have the merit of the act of patience itself, but we also have the merit of the habituation to taking the patient's choice, that familiarization with that mindset. And so we see the clear demarcation between what is the wise and beneficial response as opposed to the unwise and unbeneficial response.
What you could what that's the way Jamleta Solom Nigati and the took to what you could what you want to go to water, Ruan or and the Casa de Takaja. That there, Soba there, to make Danlig Sobata, and it Nigel Chimani Sobaniga you could what. Ruat to make Danlig Soba Nigel 주만이 봤어 봐. 아니 최랑 게 저거 소바 숨가서 연구해서다. 보다 용 되기도 와.
So here, in this particular instance, we are practicing the patience of accepting of harm, and we are practicing the patience of not returning harm for harm in that situation. And the patience of being able to transform all situations into virtue.
코랑 뢰 땅제는 코랑도 예바사가 열봐 코랑 뢰 땅제는 뭐들아 개와 랍 전부 두두에게 아니 경계장에서 차되기도 와 서바도 검토가 있나.
So in situations like this where somebody is engaging in harm, they're kind of really how to say, they're not thinking. If we can respond with really good quality patience in that, it is a great blessing of merit that can come from that. A great wave of merit can come from that.
这가서 소소르 당자 소소 데디케이트잖아. 또 코란도 누구 열봐. 코란 레니 바사가 코란 르 당자 알아서 팬도게 줘서 차되기도. 코란 르 당은 알아서 팬도고 소리지. 좋아. 차되기도. 다고 소소게 서버 검토가 있나? 다 서버 검토가 용말 봐.
And so we can regard that as somebody who's kind of really, in a way, from their action, dedicating towards our being able to really respond with a really good quality patience.
And therefore
we can see them as somebody greatly beneficial, very kind.
Niba de la gekche wala rani sonam ki pachedo juba nesa niba de la gekche na niba asa de la gekche na rangi sonam ki pachedo juba nesa wale kede tane rangyun ki de la soba mije na sonam gyune nyene la de la dage jebar se sam.
And so then the second of those subheadings again was then because of that very obstacle can create an obstacle to virtue, to merit, to the generation of merit. But it says here in the verse 103, if due to my own failings I am not patient with this enemy, then it is only I who am preventing myself from practicing this cause for gaining merit.
Konchok dende konchok rangi kyen dige an dadela soba meje ba ina soba komato ba ina dende ko sonam gek chikinge an sonam gek chikinge dela sozo soba komato no an majona sobe sonam ge judine nyawan ta mune dana soba kome ko sonam nana chodo jubade soba kome sonam de chate gre dende ge jude sozo tila yuge le beju tang ma jibo so chagarwa jude sozo tila yoba cha yoba de sozo beju tang ma jiba chane dende jude nyawan nebe and then they go so tamega tatela, this son of you yonamen a chatting, severe son of you yonamen a chatting tatela, and tatela, toa tani, that toa javaina, and tani sonam gate, tati sonam gate the tatimari, sonam get so sonam gate chagi to us, gate java imba segi, gate java chatting to sonam gate the tat chayamare, so son severe sonam gate. 주 틀어 이게 소소 다데 아니 배주 땅 맛이 많이 있다 소소 아니 소나기 계획차도 계획차도 다데 말에 소소 계획적이도 대자 바로 계획 많이 있는 바로 잡어대 계획 말에 소소 계획차도기도 등 뭐쳐 봐 제수고도 봐 어때
corresponding here. So even a situation and I get angry and because of my own fault, due to my own fault of and not being able to be patient at my enemy. And so here I kind of like have the opportunity for patience, but don't take that opportunity. I kind of like give up that opportunity as it was. I can't use it, and therefore I become an obstacle to my own merit, because I have missed up on the opportunity to be patient in a situation where I chose anger, and therefore I've missed out. I can't take this opportunity for merit. I've actually created an obstacle to that merit, and therefore I have to take this on the chin for myself.
다들 객 제다 맞아 소소를 알리기도 소랑다 소소 개와 주에 객제 맞아 강가도 소소를 소소게 세베 냠내다 갑도 냠내 갈 거와 소소 제도바 이나 아니 객 뭐도 객 칠로를 뭐도 칠로디 깨데 객 문에 줘도 맞아도 소소를 알리기도 소소 녀모 샤와도 거나 객잘 소소 녀모도 샤와도 맞주바 제네 아니 세발라서 되네 냠내 제바이나 객 숙한게 제도고 뭐도 객 제마도베 갈래 소소고 소는 거 소랍 전부지 좀 두고도 와 샤마데 그가 겐데게 그가 아니 가서 됐다 겐데게 그가 아니 튕게 아니 베랍 전부 용하게 튕게를 줘도 차도 다 문에 전에 소소 녀모데 샤마도 줘나 아니 신의 객 차기도 와 객 차다 맞아도 란 녀모 샤마도 줘도 맞으래도 와 어다 디가 등하나 좀 어쩌고 해야 겠지 뭐래도 와 먼저 남자 출을 두고 저도 뒤에 계속서는 들려면도 뒤 깨래도 와 당문에 전에 교도 맞아도 소수 녀모 샤마도 교도 맞으래도 와 어떤 거 좀 어쩌고 해야 겠지 뭐래도 와
Whether something actually becomes an obstacle or not is up to us. This is not something that is an external inevitability. In fact, that can only be a cooperative condition. The actual cause for what becomes an obstacle is an internal issue. And so we can therefore control this, because if we have control over our own mind, we become open to a situation which can create great waves of merit for us. And everything becomes that conducive condition to set us on the path of merit. But if we, whether it becomes an obstacle or not depends on whether we give in to the mental affliction or not. And so that's really the key issue. If we can avoid the mental affliction, then we're open to seeing every situation as a conducive condition for merit.
Okay.
And so we can leave it there for today.
Okay. Hola, so. 아니 어제 다다데 동네 나가라 세대에 라마 투베 온거도 공부시 주시죠.
And so we again bring our mind to bear on the Guru Buddha and the space in front.
아니 되네. 아니 저 감숨 좋아리도 가봐 깨와 얘네야. 아니 동네에 메타버스 공부시 동네 잡아 두제 동네 동네 교회 동네 다 잡아 두제 그 동네에 맞아버려서 아니 델레 타와지 마 좋아이네 다 동네 못는 용해 저 공부시네 안 델레 녀바 줘 연중 공부시 랑게 된데게 로데 가서 랑게 주고 빼마다 제시라 주소 삼삼차.
And that's all of the three realms of existence, and all the beings there within those three realms all around us. They are mired in suffering in the three different categories of suffering: the suffering of suffering, the suffering of change, and in particular pervasive suffering, that if they do not get beyond the pervasive suffering, there is no way they can gain liberation from cyclic existence. And so we develop that mind of renunciation, which is symbolized by the lotus mandalas at our own crown.
고들 공부시. 근데는 지난 그 초근에 저는 유대는 주바다 바 두상 요가 말해서 코나 쇼가 공부시. 아니 어디네 공부시네. 아니 된데 예외 로데. 아니 님의 경우 냐강와 주네. 아니 거기서 빼매도 랑이 주고 빼면 담아 집에도 내서 삼사차.
and how all inner and outer phenomena lack any objective existence, merely imputed by thought, and just maintaining a focus on that lack of inherent existence. It brings forth the symbolized by the symbol of emptiness of true existence, the sun mandala disc on our crown.
다 지난게 추가데 제바데 유대는 주바 두자매바는 다 유단데 때네 주바면도 유단면도 근데 이마 인상 아니 저게 년종 장선 양대배 따와라 소바 근데 그 아니 다 근데라 때네 근데 냠솔 나와라 때네 장주가 셈스디 게여 될라 때네 사조 람가 줘서도 근데 이마 이제 셈제 탐제도 산제 고마도 나다 탐미도 주에 여바지 마주는 다 베네틱 아니 제 주바는 마주나 탐도 셈제 탐제 산제고 대한 유한이도 마주나 지금도 서서 공부하셔 근데 예별로데 아니 다외기 뭐 약강화 주네 빼매도 내서 삼사차 뭐그 니메도 내서 삼사차.
And so then because of the lack of any objective existence within any external or internal phenomena, that it means then that all phenomena must arise in dependence, and this then validates the generation of renunciation of the mind of enlightenment, of the correct view of emptiness, in order to attain that state of enlightenment, in order to benefit all sentient beings, that it validates the ability to be able to assemble, accumulate the virtue to lead along the paths and grounds to enlightenment. And so I can validly aspire to quickly attain the state of enlightenment in order to benefit all sentient beings, thereby generating the mind of enlightenment, which is symbolized by the moon mandala seat on my crown.
동계 난가라 라마 투베 온고라 베세지도 소아데네 반대자베 라마를 보자 다게 지워베면서 컨디션 구조 투정물을 쌓도서 데려 손대 잡발았다네 담비 가서 패 니베 가서 쇼 손베 가서 때도시나 산제 고마마도 오버데 제수 송소사 엔텔라 야라도마 멘데다 잡아 푸네 엔데 투교 대화통 대외 동바 대돈지소 이시 계속 데려 공부하자.
And so then we maintaining single pointed on the figure of the Guru Buddha in the space in front. We utter the invocation verse of glorious and precious Guru, come take your lotus and moon seat, place them on my crown. Keep me safe in your kindness, bestow on me the attainments of body, speech, and mind. At the end of the first recitation, the figure moves towards our crown. At the end of the second, they arrive there. At the end of the third, we have the certainty that they will remain there until we attain enlightenment. From that, we are inspired to offer the 7 limbs of practice and the mandala offering. This is very pleasing to the Guru Buddha, who experiences the bliss which combines with voidness, and they abide in the wisdom of non-dual bliss and voidness.
어디를 공부하셔? 근데 양조 아니 제가 소래 여버저 년종 공부하셔. 아니 대 공부하셔도 안 근데 여버저 년종 예별로데 라니데 빼마다 제주 주주서 지난 거 추나 유단을 두 두자 요만 거다 줘 갖고 근데 근데 예별로데 아니 님의 좀 약하셔는 아니 라님 빼마다 먹게 되는 녀소서 아니 지난 거 가서 심지 탐제거도 산제 고반이 완전 맞던 정말 토바지기 삼사 공부하셔. 뒤다가 좀 약하셔는 님의도 녀소서 원을 공부하자.
Again, then we reflect on the suffering nature of cyclic existence, how we're all mired in this suffering and want to attain definite emergence from it, being symbolized by the lotus mandala seat at our own heart center, the reality of all inner and outer phenomena lacking any objective existence, being merely imputed by thought, and that being symbolized by the sun mandala seat. And then the fact of that lacking of any independent existence, leading to the conclusion that phenomena arise in dependence, and therefore it makes it possible that I can quickly attain the state of enlightenment in order to benefit all beings, and that's symbolized by the moon mandala seat at my heart center.
what is a Padisa Lama Tagicho Kalakusu to Jungle Tamika's pet, Nivakas show, Sumetension, Sanjago Mato, which is Tenepamata de Kaitone, Namjing the Alice, Tiga Tojic of Samas Kaja, the Tagoto, the Metsanga title, Monument Moms and Basunko, Tene, was Jesus Jambangas. Tata Casado Sunga Omara Basana Titi still Basu, the net, then no Omiyata Mashamana is why the Basum quarters. The Ranganing Uson, Lamashaja Singing Devati, and what a Chiwane, can't think of all of your set and Lutaja Vese cabinet, and Tomamatic by the Tibachita, Kabatoya, and Caso de Takaja, Sojo, Majabalo, Trintom, Sutungaja, Nasendos, Lotus, and Mikechu, said there, Sengamatinga, Tomamavan Sabataka, Jebakana Madova, Jebaka Hanaman, Jamata, something Kombasha. And the judges of Lavada Sangata, Pada Malamagul, Stona Tole Tabe Gezu, Yedon, Gazet Shajaba, Judge Tava Josu. And Taranja Lugan as a single tunga, Jujito was so long till they can't get it by Dane or Tava Josu, so what did the Kumbasha?
And so then, we utter the invocation verse, O glorious and precious Guru, come take your lotus and monthly place there at my heart. Keep me safe in your kindness, bestow me the attainments of body, speech, and mind. At the end of the first recitation, the figure moves down through our crown chakra into the central channel. At the end of the second, we arrive at our pre-prepared seat. And at the end of the third, again, we have that certainty that the Buddha will remain until we attain the state of enlightenment. We rejoice in this. But then the lotus petals fold over and are sealed at their tips by a white five-pronged semivajra. The lotus package is surrounded by three mantras: the main mantra of Shakyamuni Buddha in a clockwise direction, the mantra of Manjushri in an anti-clockwise direction, and the mantra of dependent origination in clockwise direction. And then this triggers the countless light rays to begin to emanate from the body, speech, and mind of the Buddha within, permeating through every cell of our bodies, from the crown of the head to the soles of the feet, and affecting a complete and thorough purification of all negativities that we have accumulated since the beginning of this time, such as the 10 non-virtues, the negativities of killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, of lying, harsh speech, divisive speech, and idle gossip, of malicious intent, covetousness, and wrong view, of all negativities that we have accumulated in this life, in the one previous to this, in the one previous to that, etc., going back to beginning of time and countless rebirths, all naturally occurring negativities, all negativities as prescribed by the Buddha, all negativities, downfalls, associated with Pratimoksha vows, Tantric vows, and the Bodhisattva vows, and all of the disrespect that we have shown to our parents right up to our gurus, and all negativities associated with the body and mind that can create obstacles to our engaging in spiritual practice, all imbalances of channels, winds, and drops, and the four elements, etc., and particularly all negativities associated with ordinary view that really prevent us from quickly attaining the state of enlightenment, that they are transformed into pure view.
Okay. Yeah, the new to Sanjay Kuba, the Kyon Chichu, the Taman Najas, the Taman Naja Kyon, Canada, Tabaraja Baji Chatu, the Rangashan to London Yelege, Lamashajas and a good Henry against the social the Lamashajas and a Kula Chusu, substance. So Shindo Travel 17 in Leja, Lamashajas and two the Henry Rangel 70, Lamashajas and Tula Jusu, Rangel Lunga is Lamashajas of Kusu to more Yeme Jusu, the tea, the water, the way Tombat, the Tonisma is Kesu, something. Ran Nesa, Ned, no, you can't tell Lamashajas and a Tabashu, Ran Lamashajas and Kusudon war image or tea, Nala Rashima was Kumache, tea to Lamashajas and Badu, Mebatune, Simja Tanja Lamashajas and Chasawa Timbalet, the Latin Kitty Lamashajas and Kusudon war image, the Dagan Nesa and Ned, Lamashajas and Gigani, Tabashan to Josu, what in the Kumacha.
And then through the combination of my own more subtle wind acting as the substantial cause, together with the body of the Buddha acting as the cooperative conditions, my own body is transformed into the enlightened body of a Buddha. And then through the combination of my own more subtle mind acting as the substantial cause, together with the mind of the Buddha acting as the cooperative conditions, my own mind is transformed into the enlightened mind of a Buddha. Now I see my own body, speech, and mind as inseparable from the body, speech, and mind of a Buddha. This is something that it produces a bliss that combines with voidness, and I abide in the wisdom of non-dual bliss and voidness. The place I am in also is transformed of all fault, and it becomes the palatial abode of an enlightened being. Then seeing myself as lacking in any inherent existence, as a fully enlightened being, sending out light rays from my own heart center equal to all the 17 beings in all the 6 realms of existence. That upon entering their crowns, they are completely transformed into fully enlightened beings. Their place of abode also is transformed of all fault and becomes the palatial abode of an enlightened being.
다 간제 어들잖다 심제 탐자 라마 오다 야보 주죠 심제 탐자다 라마 산제에는 살아 거기 있어 라마 샤제도 살아 거기서 다 니마들이 거기서 가고 다 심제 탐자 라마 산제 라마 샤제도 살아 거봐 대지도 수세 개와 가주와 대두개 소도 잡가 유대는 뭐로 또 파다 잡으면서 대 대화 대도 대도 니스면 이시 계속 어들이 공부하셔 오다 어들지
And this is wonderful that today is the day of being able to lead all sentient beings to that state of enlightenment. That this leading of all sentient beings to the state of enlightenment, the virtue which has facilitated that, myself as the agent of that virtue, all are completely empty of any objective existence and merely imputed by thought. This leads me into this state of emptiness, which combines with bliss. And I abide in the wisdom of non-dual bliss and voidness.
다다다도 매바 이제문에 삼라다는 운에 걸어 된데들 내라고 저 말봐 얘네야 단도 삼라다는 저 운에 걸어 되대 요한이도 주도에는 교류 주가쇼 산데데 용알라 라니 산제 고마도 타면도 대 용알라 아니 자주가 선도 돈이도 배 싫어니까 냠래 맞아 타면도 된데 이마에서 랑게 다 산나 촌나 대나 녀나 다 주도 저랑 근데 저바이나 아니 지금 가서도 개바이네다 아니 나바이네다 타마 시바이네 시베데 아니 지금 자주서 돈이도 배 싫어기에 아니 교류 주와쇼 유튜브 소재지기 삼삼 워드를 공부하셔
And of course, we're operating at the level of imagination and aspiration here. There's no way that this can be a reality so easily, so conveniently. But nevertheless, I dedicate absolutely sincerely to make manifest what has occurred here as quickly as possible, knowing that I need to be able to see every situation in my life as an opportunity to increase my appreciation of and understanding of the mind of enlightenment, the wisdom realizing emptiness. And therefore, I rededicate myself to being able to use every situation that arises, whether it's one of happiness or sadness or suffering or virtue, or whether I'm aged, sick, or even at the point of death, that I can see all as a conducive condition to enhance the mind of enlightenment and the wisdom realizing emptiness. You are Avalokiteshvara, great treasure of compassion, not aimed at true existence, and Manjushri, master of flawless wisdom, as well as Vajrapani, destroyer of hordes of demons without exception. Tsongkhapa, crown jewel of the sages of the land of snow, Roshankarta, at your feet, my kings.
Okay, thank you. Thank you,
So
everyone. Thank you. Okay, thank you.
can I get Jordan Yakwa Nyarong?